Oh, hi. Welcome to Say It, I Dare You, the podcast where we pull apart the personal meanings of taboo and hard to say words and phrases with lovely guests and some gentle peer pressure. Today, we are talking about the phrase morning person. This is an episode I've been very excited to film because I find the topic absolutely fascinating and we love dissecting how capitalism makes us feel like shit. Cough, cough, sleeper inners are very welcome and safe on this podcast. To be a morning person generally means that you get up early in the morning and you thrive and then you brag about it. I'm sort of kidding about that, but truly being a morning person is just sort of more socially acceptable. And it means you enjoy the morning and you have energy earlier in the day. But some people don't do that. I'm Quinn, and today I'm joined by Amanda Jewson, a registered social worker and with a unique blend of expertise as a certified sleep consultant. Hi, Amanda.
Hi.
I'm so happy you're here.
Yes, me too. Well, actually, you're here.
Yes, we are filming in a different space today. If there are multiple golden retrievers that interrupt the video portion of this podcast, enjoy it.
Cuter.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. A dedicated mother to 2 daughters, Amanda has a passion for aiding families in developing wholesome sleep routines, boasting over a decade of experience in the realm of education. In 2017, which I believe is the year we met,
yes,
Amanda channeled her dedication to sleep wellness into founding Baby's Best Sleep and subsequently founding Rest My Best, both sleep consulting companies that focus on the idea that sleep is a fundamental need and not a luxury. Since then, Amanda has helped countless families across the globe with her team of consultants and also provides free and very helpful, please go follow her, resources on her social media channels. The Sleep Queen is here to chat and we're going to get into it. Let's get started with the usual and the obvious. Amanda, why do you relate to today's episode topic?
Oh my God. I mean, personally and professionally, I think this is just such... let me gather my thoughts. Like, professionally, I think that the idea of making yourself into a morning person is incorrect. You can't change your biology, and I'll talk more about that in specifics. Personally, I've been the victim of this. You know, before I really got into this work, I was like, I'm going to be a morning person. I'm going to grind it out. I'm going to do a 5 a.m. time. I'm actually particularly triggered by this. And I realize that your audience is probably like 10 to 15 years younger than me. So I'm going to speak about my experience, and I don't want to like make anyone afraid, but of your future. But this is a particularly triggering topic for me because where I see it land the most is with mothers and new mothers who say the only time I have is X. And I think that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
And it drives me crazy. And I see women like getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't understand how we're doing that and why that's okay in the name of like getting things done, or even if it's like my me time. If you are naturally inclined to get up at that time and that is like where you're finding your time, I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
But if you are bending over backwards to make something happen so you can have individual free time, I feel like that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning makes me want to vomit.
Yeah. You only do that if you're getting on a plane, in my personal opinion.
Truly.
You're
And
heading on
even
vacation.
then, I'm like really trying not to.
Yeah.
Like aggressively trying not to.
Yeah, as
Yeah.
you should. I feel
Yeah.
like the whole morning person, night owl, it's part of what we're going to talk about today. But you're so right. It really, really targets people who have a lot of shit to do, aka often mothers. I was trying to rack my brain as you were talking. We know someone who recently just decided that for all of December, they're going to try to get up at 5:45 in the morning. And I don't remember who it was, but I remember they left my house early because they were like, oh, we're just trying this thing. And I was like, why? Give me a good reason. And there wasn't one.
No.
It was just, and I was like, to each their own. I think for her, it was more about like wanting discipline. And I just remembered who it was as I was speaking, just wanting to see if she was capable of doing it. And I just looked at her. I was like, I love you so much. And I cannot relate.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be for me.
Okay. So I want to talk about why this is a myth. Actually, like I have a TikTok and I'm not like TikTok famous at all. I'm not exciting, but I have one TikTok with I think like almost 3 million views, and it's on this topic. And the idea around shifting and shaping yourself into something that isn't coming naturally. Now, I'm saying this, there are people who legitimately get up at 5 naturally. Their eyes are open, they feel good, they feel like energized by that time. They go to bed a little bit earlier. This is actually called a chronotype. And so a chronotype is refers to, and we use this language all the time, like, are you an early bird? Are you a night owl? We have that discussion. Now, if you dig into the theory around chronotypes, there's probably a lot more nuance to this. There's an author, and I'll send this to you after because it'll be in the description. Me. Yeah, he wrote a book on chronotypes, and he lists 4. So there's like the dolphin who never sleeps. There's the lion who is up early, goes to bed early. There are bears, which he hypothesizes make up about 50% of the population, and bears are kind of like 7 to 11 people, right. Like kind of like later morning, maybe later evening, and then we have our night owls. Mm-hmm. These are the people who can't go to bed before midnight, and then they get up late as well. Mm-hmm. So I probably personally land, if I were just to go to bed easily and wake up, I'm doing an 11 to 7 naturally. That's for me. Now, in the times of my life that I have had like decided I'm going to be a morning person before I knew all this. Okay. And I say, like, there's a myth in society that you're not disciplined if you can't do it, or you're lazy if you don't wake up. Like, literally, I remember there was a time, it was after you worked with us. Mm-hmm. Should we say how we know each other?
I used to nanny Amanda's children.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think I did the very first logo.
Yes.
For your business. My dad and I did it.
Photos.
Your headshots. Yes. The person who did the women's sports episode that has already come out.
There you go.
She did Amanda's headshots 8 years ago.
Yeah. Very number 1. So crazy.
I know.
I can't believe. Yeah, that's so crazy. All of that was crazy. So yeah. Anyway, we decided I was like, I'm going to get up at 5 every day. Mm-hmm. I got sick. I was sick for like 3 weeks the whole time I was doing it. So like my body was totally rejecting me getting up. It was
rejecting
like,
the morning.
Bitch, you cannot get up this early. We're going to screw with you so you get sick so you can't. Mm-hmm. And then the moment I have just decided, and I've really only gotten, and I've been in sleep for like however many years, like 7 years now, 8 years. I've just really leaned into it in the last 2 years that I'm not getting up before 6:45.
Yeah.
I will get up slightly early to meditate for 10 minutes before my kids get up.
Yeah.
That's about all I'm doing. I can't because I find it starts to impact all of our everything.
Yeah. I was going to say, in your defense, I feel like when you're saying, I've been working in sleep for 7-8 years and I only just started really honing in on it for myself 2 years ago. You did have young children. Yes, so there is some days where you didn't have a choice but to be up before 7. But it's also interesting. The people that, get up, I've been victim of it too. I'll get up first thing in the morning and like first thing in the morning before the sun. And I'll get a bunch of shit done and I'll feel really good. It's like 10 a.m. and I'm like, I have the whole day. You know what I don't have the whole of? Myself.
Yes.
My energy. Yes. My will to live.
Yes.
Like I can't. I got up early and I did all the things that I needed to do in a day. And now I am tired and I might have to nap. And then I'm fucking my sleep schedule. Yes. And like that's what happens for me when I try to get up super early in the morning. Yes. And funny, I used to be a morning person naturally. I put air quotes there for those who aren't watching. But I just used to kind of prefer and feel more energized. 6 a.m., 7 a.m. I'd start work at 6:30 if I could, working from home. I'm lucky if I have a decent thought before 8 a.m. now. I'm just trying to accept, honestly, a lot through some of your content. Just be like, I'm going to accept that, like, I don't have to force myself back into the version of myself that once was.
Yes.
This is working.
Yes.
Nobody's dying.
No.
So I can just do this.
Yes.
I don't have to go back to that early morning. I work for a company where I can just tell them I'm going to start at 9 now.
And dream.
I know, right?
I mean, this is where I get to as well, where... So I read this book. I don't know if you've read this book. It's called The 5 a.m. Club.
No.
And it's basically like a fictional... Oh my God. It's a weird book.
I'm like, are you recommending that I read it? Because I
mean,
truly would never see that title and go, yes, sounds like me.
Okay, I'm not recommending it as if, hey, you should read it. Yeah. But if you're looking for like some unintentional comedy, kind of like when I suggest people join their local Costco Facebook group, not for any other reason.
For the irony.
It is wild out there, okay? And it's totally worth the unintentional comedy of it all. I think that the 5 a.m. Club is, oh God, again, look up the author. He writes a fictional story about these people who are basically chosen to go to an island, and they learn on the island. I read this years ago. I'm going to screw it up. So if you've read this and you're like, you're wrong, I know that I don't have all the details right, but it's a fictional story. And he like boosts up this idea of when you get up at 5, your brain works differently. And I'm like, no, that just can't be. So like on top of the fact that we know like science is saying, no, this is not true. We legitimately have people who need to be up early, and think about evolution, right? We can't all be sleeping and waking at the same time. We needed our night owls to watch over us when we were sleeping. And then we need the early birds to take over and go on from there, right? We need people to have different internal rhythms. You also can't really change your chronotype. You can change a circadian rhythm. A circadian rhythm is different from a chronotype. A circadian rhythm is an internal clock that you can to some degree program. So if you woke up every day at 5 o'clock, it would probably take you a week to stop waking up at 5 because your body is programmed. But you would do your best work at whatever that natural body time is. Does that make sense?
It does. And I like that you explain the difference between the chronotype and that, because I think some people think, especially when you have your, what's the word I'm looking for? Spring forward, fall back.
Oh, daylight savings
time. People, it's not that it doesn't align with the sunlight. That has something to do with your circadian rhythm, but people think that's kind of where it starts and ends. And it's way deeper than that. I like how you explain a lot of kind of the science behind what you say in your work, at least from your social media, and how it helps normalize it to understand, here's what you have control over and here's what you don't. And stop trying to like fuck around with the things you don't have control over.
And I also think that like, if some people might be like, oh, I don't know who I am. Well, and this is kind of like, you talked about capitalism, the very first thing that you said, and I'm laughing because some of us don't really have a chance to figure that out. But I would say like, see what your body does naturally, right? Like if you have this opportunity, if you're on vacation, when do you have your most energy? Is it in the morning? Is it in the afternoon? Is it like 12 o'clock at night and you're doing, and I can't be the 12 o'clock at night person. No. I can like live such a hardcore, wonderful, fulfilled life between the hours of 7 a.m. and 11 p.m. And after 11 p.m., unless I'm in Vegas and the lights are on and
they're pumping oxygen,
and there are all sorts of like things that confuse my body, and we can talk about that. That's a whole other thing. I really can't get like to a very annoying point. Like my best friend growing up in high school would be like, I love you so much. You were the worst at parties. And she wasn't wrong.
I mean, I also used to watch your children in the evenings and you were promptly home at 11.
I don't stay out late. I mean, I can do it. Like Brad, my husband, and I are into watching The Sopranos again.
Lovely.
This is his probably 7th watch. It's my 2nd or 3rd. Anyway, it's an amazing show. So we're sitting here on this couch and I'm like taken away. I'm going to bed at like 1:30 in the morning. I know, watching The Sopranos. When I tell you it takes me 4 days to recover from this, because my body will still want to wake up at the next day. I also have kids. I can't just like lay on my couch the next day.
The hilarity of the fact that you just admitted to all of your friends, recorded, I can't stay out with you. I can, however, stay up for The Sopranos.
But no. Can I hang out with you and lay down?
Yes.
Then I will do that.
Then you will. Yep.
Then I will do that.
Yeah.
If you have lay down plans, I'm all for it.
Yeah. Well, that kind of what you said about, capitalism and how not, I guess maybe we should have started with this, that being able to figure out your sleep patterns and then plan your work and your life around it starts with privilege to be able to do so. But going into the capitalism of it all, why do you think why do you think morning person is more desirable? Why do you think that's what everybody wants to achieve?
Well, we're going into some 1940s production line shit, I think. Like when you go there were people who really tried to figure out how little the human body needed to sleep in order to be the most productive. And the idea even, I mean, I think that there are still people trying to figure this out today. But I do think that we're starting to understand even now, like we're in 2024, this idea that like naps or sleep, it means you're lazy is still quite pervasive. And I think we're starting to lean into this idea that like sleep it would be the same as saying like, well, I mean, I guess we kind of do say this. Like, if you only ate 1,200 calories, that's the base that you need. Like, sure, would you be alive? Yeah.
Yes.
Are you optimally functioning? Likely not. And so that's the way it is around sleep. Like, I think if we've developed this like 9 to 5 mentality in our society, that's the way life goes. So everyone has to do this. Here's a great example of how there's a mismatch, like every day. There's a huge mismatch happening in society every day right now. High school students, high school and adolescent students tend to have late circadian rhythms. They have something called delayed sleep phase syndrome, which means it's harder for them to fall asleep and they sleep in. Now, I want to say this can last probably your mid-20s for some people, and it makes it really hard to fall asleep and they don't want to get up early. Well, high school didn't get the memo. Tons of high schools start between 8:30 and 9. These kids have just gone to bed like 6 hours ago, 5 hours ago, and they're set to go to school. So there's a whole every year I get asked to do media on like, what do you think about delayed start times? I'm like, I think they're awesome. I taught high school for like most of my career. I think kids are really tired. And I think you're asking kids to like apply to universities, be at their best when they're also at their most tired and overtaxed and worried. So going back to like your original question, I think we have a 9 to 5 society. I think that our society values people who show up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And I think when you don't, it says or means something about you.
Yeah.
And we have pervasive thoughts and attitudes towards people who stay up late and want to sleep late. And it just perpetuates the idea that if you're not a morning person, you're lazy.
Yeah. Whereas you can get just as much shit done. It's just at a different time in the day.
Yeah.
And when you really strip it back down to that, it's kind of confusing to look at all the people judging non-morning people. Because really it's like, I could get the same amount of work done. So it's not about the work. It's about judging people for being different.
Yeah. We're also like, on the other side, we are adoring and admiring these people who just have a different internal biology than you.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, you really grind it out. And they're like, yeah, thanks. And it's like, they're not any better than me.
Yeah.
Like I am probably one of the most disciplined people I know. And I can fucking work and I'm a good worker and I can hustle. I cannot get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I just can't.
They're not synonymous. They don't have to be. I don't know if you've ever, I'm sure you've heard this because I know you're also a Beyonce fan, but like the whole Beyonce has a different, you don't have the same 24 hours in the day that Beyonce does.
No.
But then there's people who are like, well, there's people like Beyonce who absolutely no Beyonce slander on this podcast, please. Beyonce is incredible and does a lot of wonderful things, but does so many things. And like, you could succeed, you could do that. And it's like, actually she has money, time, babysitters, chefs, people who travel for her, people who help things.
Yes.
And love that for you. Go off, queen. And we do not have the same 24 hours.
And I think Beyonce would come here and say that.
Yep. I would hope.
I
believe in her.
I think so too. I think that Beyonce, like, sure, like Beyonce still in my condition could probably outwork me 100%, but it's not the same 24 hours.
It's not. And we neglect looking at that, especially I think because of how influenced we are by what we see online and how that is the goal is to get up early and to grind.
It never goes away. Like I work, so like, and we don't have to stay on this topic because it's not your listenership, but I work with new parents, primarily new mothers, and there is, every way that you help your child sleep or don't help your child sleep is normal. So when people hire me, is they are actively helping their child to sleep and they don't want to be anymore. And the tricky part about that is when you stop the help to sleep, your baby will cry. And then really that's what I help reduce and support new parents through. And when you go online, it is such a shit show of like bad messaging about how you're a bad parent if you sleep train, that's what I do, or if you don't want to help your child sleep, all of this stuff about how it's natural and normal. And it's like, yes, but being able to like have your child sleep on you, is it normal? Should you do it? Go for it. But there are lots of people who actually can't. It's a privilege to be able to sit and have your child on you all day, or like be the only person responsible for that child's sleep, how they go to sleep at night. Like the ability to be able to do that. So much of this is rooted in like white supremacy, privilege, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. This isn't one of the prepped questions, and I'm going to dare to ask anyway, because it came up in my brain and I'm curious about how often you find studies or opinions or people basically saying, here's what you should do, but the data is only based off of studies on men.
Oh God. I mean, Tony.
I know. I opened a can of worms.
I'm a woman. Number one, like, I mean, half of the, I remember, well, okay, this is another great example. Fasting. Okay. I don't care about fasting at all. Lots of people I know have actually found great they feel better on fasting. They fast, they feel great. But then when you look at the studies on fasting, they're mostly done on men. They don't discuss like hormonal disruption or the potential for it, or how like women need food at certain times so their body doesn't think they're dying or starving, and like have all of these other things. So like fasting is a great example. I had when I had like some shit, it's all good now, but actually after Nora was born, I had to have lots of like check-ins at Women's College Hospital, and that was like a education. They would put books down to be like, this is actually how much education and research we have on women's bodies and how women are responding to medication or treatment. I mean, you're too old for this, but I'm 41, and like I'm not there, but my whole social media right now is like on perimenopause, and it's great that we're talking about it. I'm just kind of like saturated with it. So I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. But the whole idea and why people are talking about it is there's no research on it. There's no research on menopause. There's like, it's just like, good luck. This thing is going to happen. And it's wild.
It is.
So, I mean,
it is. Well, and that's something I think more people need to pay attention to when we're talking about influence and media, is that those, rise and grind, those people that get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, like it could also be just a catalyst of one, privilege, and two, who they are, what their body function is, what sex they are. Like, I might absolutely be butchering this fact, but I'm pretty sure it's like men's bodies work on like a 24-hour schedule and women's are on like an ovulation schedule, like 28 days. Whereas it kind of resets for a man every day. And funny how then so does everything else reset every day. But when Amanda had said, fasting for women, it's at different times. It's not necessarily different times in the day, although it can be. It's at different times in the month, depending on what your uterus is up to.
And I even think like just even hearing you talk, like, I think about my clients, and the trickiest bits that they have are really around this concept of individualized care and response to care. And I think that this idea, like, that a one size fits all approach is going to work for a vast majority of people is incorrect. I think that you're dealing with like not only biology, but like temperament, about like your social conditions, about like, it's really interesting. I did like this whole baby class, mommy talk thing like a week ago, and we're chatting, and one of the moms said, what I found the most interesting is that your job must be so cool because we've gone around, there's been 9 of us, and 9 of us are experiencing the same thing, but you answered the question in 9 different ways. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly how it should be, because there's so many contextual factors. Do you room share? What's the temperature of your room? Like, there's so many little things that like make the outcome different for each individual human.
Therefore, morning person is actually just a hoax.
I think it's totally a hoax.
It is a hoax.
Well, I do think morning people exist. I don't think we can all just be morning people tomorrow.
Morning person as a goal to set or as a thing that you want to be. There's more to it. It needs to be more about who you are as a person and what you care to do in the morning than what time you need to wake up. What made you want to get into sleep consulting, into helping other people sleep? What was your catalyst?
So I have a lot of reasons. I was like, I was going to give my answer, but then I was like, actually, you were around me during this time. I think that truly it came from, number one, I love sleep. It's always been top priority for me. So much so that I just did all of this reading and research before Winnie was born, who's my oldest. And then I just got it. I implemented it. Now, my kids are pretty easy peasy. It worked well. We were able to do that.
I literally still brag about nannying her children because I was like, I thought it was witchcraft. The way that your children just slept when I told them to.
You just put them in their crib and
then
they
they fall asleep.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. Something's going on in that house.
I've been called a witch a lot, but I'm not. I really am not. I also, what a compliment.
Yeah.
I love that compliment. So, I love sleep. I was on my second mat leave. So with my first, I didn't take a full mat leave. I went back to work pretty early. With my second, I was like, I'm going to take the full year. And then I started making mat leave friends. And then those friends stopped showing up to things. And they stopped doing these like workout classes, these things that they loved. Or they stopped like calling me and I'd be like, hey, what's up? They're like, we're just not sleeping. And I saw like close friends really lose themselves. And the reason why they lost themselves in it is because there was so much shame and stigma around sleep training. So they didn't want to do it. But because there's still a myth that like, if you want sleep, you're bad. If you are tired, you're lazy. And there's a lot of like, you want to talk myths, a lot of mythology around being a mother. Lots of like shit around like what the perfect mother is, what that looks like. And I think that's where I was like, I really want to get into this world and kind of like mess it up a little bit because I just disagree. Like I sleep and it's not that hard. My kids love me. Like I don't know what's going on. Like why aren't more people sleeping?
Yeah. And how sleep affects your ability to then be a good friend, be a good mom, be the employee that you want to be. Yes. I mean, my experience with it, when you were talking about fasting, it felt kind of akin because I was like, I've had 110 people tell me you should try intermittent fasting. I'm like, I'm a hangry bitch.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that to anyone around me that I love. It's just not worth it. I'm not even going to try.
I did try it. Okay, this is way too much information.
Love.
But it'd be like, I can't believe I'm sharing this. But I do want to share this because I think it's important. I'm not someone who like goes to the bathroom if you're with me like an every day. I've never been that person. Okay. And then all of a sudden I'm intermittent fasting and be like, start the day with a coffee. Let me tell you, I had to find a bathroom immediately for like every single day that I was fasting.
So it wasn't for you.
I was like, I can't manage the time commitment to the bathroom required for fasting. I cannot fast.
Long story short, you can try being a morning person, but if you're not functioning the way you need to be functioning to make the rest of your life work, don't do it.
I mean, truly.
I love that you shared that.
Oh, well,
I'm waiting for the text to be like, can you cut that out?
Can you cut it? No, I don't care. Have at her. If it helps one person not try fasting, it's worth it
to you. In your work, have you then met other people? I mean, there's so much social stigma when it comes to motherhood and sleep, and that's where you started. Have you met other people other than yourself that have been victim to the I desperately want to be a morning person because that's what I think is better in the world?
Yeah. Okay. So like, yes. And I don't want to talk about them like for obvious reasons, but let me, okay. Do you follow Betches on Instagram?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I'm pretty sure it came from Betches. So I love Betches. I think it's so funny. And, I think that there's like Betches Mom now or like Mom Betch or something. And one of the editors wrote this thing to be like, my husband got a new job, and so we're all trying this thing where we all get up early. Like, so she's writing, I'm going to find this. I'm going to send it to you. Okay. This is like a feminist, like account, right?
Yeah.
This woman is talking about how she gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning to make her husband breakfast. Did you see this?
I've seen this.
Fuck that. And the comments are like, is this a joke? And it wasn't a joke.
It better be his birthday every day. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I don't know. Like, it's not.
For context, like, he goes to work at 5, so she gets up at 4 and he has no need to be up that early aside from.
He does not go to work at 5. He was getting up later than her so she could prep him to go to work.
Does she have a job?
Yes, she's a bitch's editor.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. And by the way, I should say, there are lots of relationships where like the labor in that family is like the home labor.
Yes.
Like, we hire that labor and we pay that and we value that labor.
Yes.
And if you're someone in the house where it's like, there are times in, like, you know, Brad still travels a lot, which is why we needed you. He was like traveling. We're like, come over right now.
Yeah.
There are times where like I pull back on my outside labor and my labor becomes inside the home. Yeah. I get that if that is their arrangement, fine. This woman has her own job and her own career.
Yes.
How? I mean,
I am hoping that what she forgot to make content about was the fact that she gets home from work and kicks her feet up and has to do nothing at the end of the day. And maybe that's their trade-off.
You're right.
You know?
Yeah.
But
maybe that's what they do.
Maybe she should have responded to all the comments about it.
I think if like people are like, hello, is this on the right website?
Yeah,
like
you forgot. Also, it's betches spelled bitches, but with an E.
Yeah.
For anyone who's wondering why we're saying bitches wrong.
And you're like, what's wrong with her affectation? It's like batches. Because that's the way it looks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some of the most insane theories you've heard about like the benefits of being a morning person?
So I think like the benefits are probably correct when you are sleeping according to your circadian rhythm. Mm-hmm. I don't think that the benefits are wrong. I think that we are misguided on if you are already a 5 a.m. person and you get up at 5. Here's the thing. When you are sleeping towards your chronotype, whenever that is, you're going to have energy at the right times of your day to do things. So like, I'm a later morning person. I want to get up probably, if I was truly allowed and that I didn't have children, I'd get up closer to 8 and go to bed probably at around midnight. I don't. So it's an 11 to 7 for me. So at around 9 or 10, I'm at my best. Anything you ask me to do, it's going to be peak amazingness. If you are truly a 5 a.m. person, by the time you get to work, you're like top notch. Yeah. Like, you're living your life. And at the end of the day, that's where you dip too. I think that like sleeping according to whatever is natural to you means that you'll do your best work at the right times, means that you will feel rested. Yeah. When you are waking up at weird times, you're going to feel tired at weird times too. Yeah. And you're not going to be like feeling good. People forget about like this is the other thing, and we're getting into the technical of it all, but high level, when we sleep or try to sleep at different times. So let's say another part of my work, so Russ, my best, is working with adults. Yeah. Okay. The big, and the adults with insomnia who cannot sleep, who cannot fall asleep or stay asleep. And the reason why they do this is they try to fall asleep earlier than intended. So this is a whole, like, people want to get up at 5. They try to put themselves to bed at 10. Internally, your body's not making the hormones to do that. So what do? You lay in bed and you toss and turn and you actually lose that hour of sleep. Some people developed insomnia because they're tossing and turning. That becomes a behavior where now when I go to bed, I don't fall asleep and I'm afraid to fall asleep. Like, there are significant impacts of trying to go to sleep at a time when you're not ready, including training your body to not sleep in your own bed, creating anxiety around sleep, losing hours of sleep because you're not actually meant to be sleeping at certain times. I can go deep with this.
I would love to, and it's like
I'm conscious of our
time.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
It makes me think about, and I don't know if he'll ever listen to this, and if he does, hi Pat, my father-in-law falls asleep on the recliner every night watching TV until like 2 or 3 in the morning, and then goes to bed for 3 hours and wakes up at 5, and that's his normal. That's his routine. That's what he does. I don't unless our wedding night, he probably went straight to bed. You know what I mean? Like there's the odd time.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's his sleep pattern. And I'm constantly worried about him. I'm like, are you sleeping okay? Like, and then he works a physical job, and it feels like there's a lot of people who don't understand how important a good sleep is I guess the point of that.
And even like where your melatonin, so melatonin is a hormone that your body makes that makes you feel sleepy, but it also helps dictate the type of sleep that you're having. So we have 4 cycles of sleep. We have deep sleep, REM sleep, 2 stages of light. We cycle through that, and we cycle through our sleep cycles all night long. Depending on when you decide to go to bed, you could be missing out on when your body is signaling for you to have deep sleep. And if you miss out on that, you miss out on that deep sleep. Or maybe you're going to bed too early and like you're missing out on REM in the morning. Like there's like, if we're not sleeping in line with our circadian rhythm that tells our body when to produce certain hormones, when to feel hungry, thirsty, when to wake up, then if you're in misalignment, that is not a risk-free solution.
Yeah.
So, and this is why it's like morning people, sure, if you're a morning person, you're probably feeling great because you're already a morning person.
Yeah.
If you are not and you're like, this is the other thing. If you get up at 5 and you feel good and there's no problems, there probably isn't a problem.
Yes.
If you are trying to make yourself do this and you're getting sick because your immune system doesn't have the time to train itself. Our immune systems train, like I always imagine like an army in your body that only gets that chance to train while you're asleep.
Yeah.
So if your immune system is low, if you're getting sick a lot, you feel tired a lot, there's other stuff, maybe mood stuff, you feel cranky, disoriented, there's your answer.
Yeah.
Like it's not like some hidden scary thing that you don't know about.
You'll feel it.
You'll feel it.
Yeah.
You will.
So then let's say somebody wants to see. They're not in a position where they can take a couple weeks vacation and just sleep when they feel tired and see what happens. Having to still get up, go to work every day. How would you suggest somebody trials and errors, what type of chronotype they are? Like, is there a harm to, I've never tried getting up at 5 a.m. Let me try it for 3 weeks and see how I feel. Or is that like a, if day 3 you're still feeling like shit, give it up?
I would say, retraining a circadian rhythm, again, that's that alarm clock. That's hard. That probably takes anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. Think about daylight savings. It takes us a while to recover from daylight savings in either direction. It'll probably take you around the same amount of time. That being said, I would give it, like, again, try within your confines of what you can, like, realistically do. If you give yourself a week and if it's still really hard, if it feels really hard, then it probably is. And I like, again, 3 years ago, there's someone that I really like. Her name's Mel Robbins. She's like a motivational speaker, Brene Brown type of person.
Yeah. And
she wrote this book, and it was like, basically, getting up at 5 will never feel good, but it's good for you. I did that it never felt good, but getting up at 7 does feel good.
Yeah.
and I think I should roll with that.
Yeah.
And if you have to tell yourself something like that, then I don't know that it's based in a lot of that body science.
And I think we're not taking enough time to check in with our bodies, because maybe the point of that is getting up at 5 never feels good, but it's good for you, in that the only part of getting up at 5 that feels good is you feel like you're succeeding at being the right adult who grinds hard and does good things.
Yes.
Not that your body is actually feeling rested, recovered, and capable of handling a hard day.
Yeah.
And we mistake those things often. And I think that's a big reason why these societal idea of what chronotype is better can really stick with some people. Some people are super proud that they don't feel good every morning because but what they are doing is getting up before the sun.
Yes.
And that's good.
Yes. I was watching, actually someone stitched the video. It wasn't like I was watching this thing. It was on TikTok, and there was this guy who's like, I get up at 4, and he's like this massive muscle guy, and like someone stitched it with something funny, but it was like, he was kind of like talking about how getting up between 3 and 4 gives you all this time. And I felt like, time to do what? and how are you showing up? Like I also, and here's the other thing. So like, there's probably going to be people who are listening to this who don't have a choice. They have a job. Like we can hate capitalism, but we need to pay the bills.
Yeah.
So, you know, where you can kind of make up for that is like on the weekend, sleep in, make up for that lost sleep. That is valuable. You can't, I mean, not crazy amounts, like, and I say that because if you are getting up at 5 o'clock every day for your job and then you sleep till noon on Saturday and then
Monday's
you sleep till
gonna
noon,
suck.
Monday's going to suck so bad.
Yeah.
And maybe we just take one for the team. Who cares? But you can make up for that lost sleep on the weekend. Monday might suck. Nap if you can. Like if you're a later person and you need a power nap, and a power nap is no more than 25 minutes. So like write that down and don't say I'm power napping for 2 hours.
Yes.
That is a totally different type of sleep and you will not sleep at night. So you want to have a little power nap just to like refunction. I truly believe like on days where I'm low in the afternoon between 2 and 3, I'll sleep for 25 minutes and it's like 3 coffees.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really helpful.
I struggle to nap. Just I don't know what it is about me. We can talk about this offline, but I will try. I have lay down time. Yeah. So it's my 25-minute timer and I lay down and I'm not sleeping, but I'm not thinking or pushing myself or trying to beat all of my insecurities all at once. And so then at least I'm getting a break. You know? And
I would argue that maybe you are sleeping because L1 and L2 sleep. I keep saying L1 and L2 are my vertebrae in my back that I fused in a car accident. And I've been saying L1 and L2 for the last 3 weeks. And what I mean to say is NREM1 and MREM2, which mean non-REM sleep.
Fix your vertebrae and your sleep's going to be great.
What am I saying? I'm so glad I caught myself and there's not someone Googling L1 sleep and they're like, what's going on?
Interesting, but it might still be considered sleep.
Yes. So non-REM. So the 2 stages of light sleep are actually drowsiness. Anything that you do to get yourself to drowsiness, it like if you're kind of like on the couch and like, oh, you were reducing sleep pressure, you will feel less tired after that.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm taking that home with me so that I don't feel like I failed my naps every time I try to lay down.
Naps.
Thank you so much. I needed that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we are at time, unfortunately. I would love to know where people can find you online and access your resources, both obviously for social media and all the free ones, but also to access you and your team of consultants.
Sure. So my adult sleep business is called Rest My Best, and you can find us online at rest_my_best. And that is based on my base business called at Baby's Best Sleep, and we help babies and young children sleep. And I do cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia for adults, and then we do sort of behavioral sleep training work with young infants and children and whole families. If some of your listeners have little ones.
I send your Instagram to almost everybody I know that is having a baby.
Thank you.
I don't know if it's actually converted anything, but I send people your way all the time and I will continue to. Her content's also really great, whether you are a parent or not a parent, whether you're around babies or not. I feel like I still learn a lot about sleep in general, just from ingesting that content. And it might not be something I can apply right now, but maybe it's something you can apply later in your life or with a friend. And that's also really important to kind of learn these things. So please go check out Amanda's stuff.
Thank you.
You can check us out at Say It I Dare You Pod on Instagram and TikTok. Also, please leave reviews and download the episodes. It really helps us. This is the last episode of season 2, actually. So we're going to have a quick little 3-week break because we believe in taking rest on this podcast.
Look at that.
We'll be back in 3 weeks with season 3. Thank you, Amanda, for joining me. It's been so good. I learned so much.
My pleasure. Also, can I just say one thing?
Please.
Read Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker.
Noted.
Thank you.
I will put it in the description.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks. Bye, y'all.